casting a shadow over all of sports. This is broadcasting's most listened to blimp, Sportsblimp.
You take the high road and I'll take the low road, and if I'm being propelled in a slingshot, I'll be to Scotland before ye. Hello everyone, I'm Will Regan here in the mighty Sportsblimp. Hours ago we were floating ever so serenely over the bagpipe-infested hills of Scotland. Now we're at our destination in Glasgow, currently hovering over Billy Connolly Stadium, and just minutes away from another electrifying match of women's speed curling. With me, as always, is the bonny wee prince of color commentary himself. It's Eric McRantman.
Well, thanks, Will. It's good to be in Scotland. Still trying to find McDonald's here, though. You'd think there'd be more of them. Oh, wait a minute. That's McDonald's is Irish, isn't it? Mick, MC.
What I've noticed is that people really respond to blimps here. There's an enthusiasm for large floating objects that you just don't see in the States. In fact, I remember when we first got here, people were outside chasing after us down the street and waving. And even, as is custom here, offering us a drink.
You mean the guys who were throwing bottles at us?
Very exciting, right?
Well, there's an element of excitement in that, yeah.
Just like our match today in International Women's Speed Curling, if you're a fan of speed curling, this is the one you've been waiting for. And if you're new to the sport, you are about to have your mind blown out of your ear hole.
This is sort of a reboot of the popular sport of curling, which was born here in Scotland a long time ago. Its origins are shrouded in the mists of time. But we can only speculate that the sport started on the frozen banks of a lake somewhere, and it involved a large stone and a lot of ale.
And now we have speed curling, which is, as one would expect, faster, and that's due to the sling.
Little history for you. Originally, the branch of the ash tree was used with a cradle on the end of it. And the stone was placed in the cradle, and the branch was pulled back nice and taut. And then the axeman, or axewoman, would cut the rope, and the stone was flung down the icy lane to the hole at the end of the lane.
Sounds easy, but there are players standing in the way.
Well, yes, one player from the opposing team, that's the hopper, and fellow teammate, the rider, wait for the stoner to sling that stone right at them, and then the rider can grab the stone and hitch a ride to the house, where she can deposit the stone in the hole at the end of the lane, and that's 1 point. The rider can also push the hopper in front of the stone, and if the stone hits the hopper, that's a point too.
And we'll learn more about this sport and why today's matchup has the potential to tear one Scottish family apart for good. But first, let's get some quick updates in the world of sports with the Sportsblimp All Sports Wrap-Up.
A week of sports in a minute.
The Sportsblimp All Sports Wrap-Up, brought to you by Ricardo's Stretch and Wrap Tortillas.
That's right, Ricardo's Stretch and Wrap Tortilla. Folks, let's face it, we all love burritos, but they're so hard to wrap. How many of you have tried to make the perfect burrito only to have it to settle for a subpar tostada? Or worse, you take that first bite and the rest of the burrito shoots out the back and onto your lap. No me gusta. Well, not anymore. Thousands of Americans are making the change to Ricardo's Stretch and Wrap Tortillas. The patented formula creates an elastic-like tortilla that extends for the perfect fit no matter how many ingredients you load it with. It'll stretch over just about anything. Just ask Hank Kraus, the burrito king of Beloit. If it wasn't for Ricardo's stretchy tortillas, I couldn't have made El Gigante, the 10-ton burrito. All right, Hank. Ricardo's Stretch and Wrap Tortillas contain all natural ingredients, including the finest New England gum sap. Ricardo's Stretch and Wrap Tortillas picks them up today at your local foreign restaurant supply store or home improvement center. Yes, it was a busy day in the world of sports. Eric, what happened in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Well, it was the Smokers Marathon today, an annual event that brings about 100 or so brave smokers to compete in a marathon relay. 20 teams of 5 men and women competed. Each runner smokes at least one cigarette during the leg of the race. Then they pass the joint on to the next runner. The team that finishes with the best time and the most cigarettes smoked is the winner. However, this year it was easy to see who won. The only team that crossed the finish line was an amateur ping pong club from Key West, and the rest of the runners had collapsed on the road behind them. This is put on every year by the Lung Health Association in Grand Rapids. Pretty well makes its point.
But aren't they really making fun of people who are too dumb to quit smoking?
Well, I don't think that the association thinks smokers are dumb. It's very addictive, and that's a whole thing.
You still smoke, don't you?
I'm just vaping these days. And in the finals of underwater fencing, Yuri Kristoff was penalized when he pierced his opponent's oxygen tank hose.
However, while holding his breath, his opponent, Lenny Triage, managed to score the winning point.
Triage will be awarded the Golden Stingray later today in a ceremony at St. James Hospital in Marjorie, Wyoming.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are flying over the majestic Billy Connolly Stadium, where Rod Stewart, voted every year the most attractive man in Scotland, will sing the national anthem.
But like he's done all tournament long, he'll probably just sing one of his classics. Last night before the Scotland versus French match, Rod sang Rhythm of My Heart. The French press called it a slap in the face. But an informal poll on a popular French social networking site, Livre de Visage, roughly translated Book of the Face, showed that most French people preferred the 1989 hit song to their own national anthem.
Well, he better decide what he's going to sing soon, because the match is about to start. First, let's bring you up to speed on the players. What a lineup, and not without a very heated rivalry in the sport of speed curling. It doesn't get any heatier than this, hotter than this.
I think you're referring to the McGowan girls. On the U.S. side, we have lead stoner Barbara McGowan, and on the Scottish side, we have her cousin, Annie McGowan, who is one of the best skewers in the world.
I think that can be explained by the fact that Anne has one of the foulest mouths in speed curling.
A good skewer is someone whose job it is to distract the lead stoner, and they do that by peppering them with insults while she's preparing to launch that stone. And wow, Annie is good at insults, and I hope her opponent's mothers aren't listening. This is going to be one of the keys to today's game. Can Barbara keep her cool while Annie is insulting her?
A lot of bad blood in the family ever since Seamus McGowan left Scotland and hopped a cargo ship to America in 1842. Talk about holding a grudge, but also a highly athletic family. There's Anne's father.
Yes, Club McGowan, a legend in the now banned sport of kid throwing.
That's goats, not children.
Fortunately, everybody has been banned from kid throwing. It's an ancient and brutal sport, throwing baby goats as far as you can. It's been banned, and that's a good thing.
Well, just in Pakistan, but it's a start. Let's look at the roster for both teams. When you look at these two lists of ladies side by side, you are basically looking at the cream of the crop in women's speed curling. On the American side, we have the aforementioned Barbara McGowan at lead stoner, followed by hopper Yanni Kinney and rider Laura Golf. Last but not least, at skewer, the formidable Lupe the Cat Delgado.
And on the Scottish side, we have skewer Anne McGowan, at lead stoner Maggie McDougall. The hopper is Tricia McSporran, and at rider, Wang Lin.
And we're about to get underway here. Let's introduce you to our man on the ground, a gentleman we've had before in the show as an expert in sheep tennis, our man in tartan, Captain Tennille McCracken.
How are you, boys? No sheep today, but I got the lay of the land before the match. There are at least 5 good pubs around the stadium.
So you've done your research.
Aye, and I'm surrounded by large women shouting at each other, so I feel quite at home, you know.
Are the players in position?
That's a good question. As soon as I enter the stadium, I'll let you know.
Oh, you're still in the pub?
Aye, but after this one, I'll head over. Oh no, wait, they've got it on TV.
But still, it's a better view than we have.
Just can't hear what they're saying. You! Shut it! That's better.
We'll look forward to those updates coming soon. Hopefully.
I think we're ready for the coin toss.
Lead stoner for the Americans, Barbara McGowan, is tossing the coin, and look at this. Her cousin, Ann McGowan, is going to catch. There's the toss.
Whoa, it's way up there.
The coin is now just a glint in the stadium lights, but it's coming down now. And
she caught it.
In her teeth. A brazen catch by Ann McGowan, and Scotland has won the toss.
So we've started off with a bang and at least one chipped tooth.
Now the lead stoner for Scotland, Maggie McDougall, is readying that sling. Meanwhile, Delgado, the skewer for the Americans, stands off to the side behind a white line just 15 yards away. She's going to have to shout as loud as she can to pierce through the noise of this raucous crowd.
She can do it too. Before she was a professional speed curler, she was a referee in the WWE Women's Wrestling.
And the insults are flying.
Too bad we can't repeat what she said. Let's just say it involves the family of the lead stoner and their resemblance to certain animals. Yeah, classic stuff.
It doesn't seem to be bothering Maggie that much as she fires off the first stone. Hopper and Ryder are jostling for position. The stone just misses the hopper, but Scottish rider Wang Ling can't grab the stone in time.
Well, one thing that's key to speed curling is jostling for position. Now, Wang Ling clearly doesn't have the weight advantage on the American Yanni Kinney, so she's looking to grab onto that stone as it whizzes by and ride it home. Meanwhile, Kinney is using her size and strength to make sure that Lynn doesn't do that.
Kinney appeared on the show American Gladiators back in the early 90s. She actually managed to knock Blaze off her pedestal in the duel.
Very impressive. Not to mention she was only 10 years old at the time.
We're ready for the second sling here. Yes, and another unprintable epithet comes flying in from the skewer. This time McDougall looks over at Delgado and gives her the evil eye.
I think that she's getting it to McDougall's head there a little bit.
Anyway, McDougall regains focus and readies for another sling. The stone is released, and what a move by Lynn. Wang Lin grabs the stone and rides it home for a point for Scotland.
We just mentioned the size advantage that Kenny has over Wang Lin, but watch the move by Lin here. Lin just went right under Kenny's legs, just in time to grab the stone.
Captain Tennille McCracken is down there somewhere. Captain, what's the mood like after that first point for Scotland?
Oh, it's electric down here.
Are you finally in the stadium?
No, I'm still in the pub. I was just saying the dartboard here is electric. It lights up when you get a bullseye. Back to you, Will.
Thanks for keeping us posted.
Oi, Rod, it's my turn. Hand it over.
The Americans now get ready to sling that stone, and here's the matchup we've been waiting for.
You can see Ann McGowan and Barbara McGowan just glaring at each other before any words are exchanged.
Barbara McGowan pulling back the sling, and here's the first insult from the Scottish side.
Oh, wow, that was harsh.
And what's this? Barbara McGowan answers back. What a mistake for the American side. That's going to cost them.
Let me jump in here. Curling rules state the stoner must never answer the skewer. That's another point for Scotland. See, that's the way it was. She's getting into her head now.
And she had a zinger, too. So a good insult wasted. Now Barbara must compose herself for her first sling of the game. And there it is. It's got an angry curl as it slides toward the rider Laura Golf, but Scottish hopper Tricia McSporran is there to push her out of the way.
It hit her.
Yes! The stone hit McSporran's ankle and she goes down.
She didn't notice till it was too late, her concentration being all on the rider Golf, and she couldn't hop out of the way in time.
So finally a break for the Americans. Captain, did you see that?
Oi, he's in the bog. He'll be back soon. Some balloon wants to know who that guy is. Give me the bog.
Who was that? Oh, never mind. Anyway, McSporran's still down, holding that left ankle. But as we know, there are no injuries in speed curling.
That's right. Players cannot admit that they are injured, or they'll be docked a point. And in the old days, a whole sheep was taken from their farm as well. But nowadays, I think they just cancel their gym membership or something.
Ouch. So McSporran gets up slowly and is clearly gritting her teeth, but the fans are loving it. Golf has a lot of space. McSporran can't get to her in time, and Golf grabs the passing stone and rides it to the house and ties up the game with a point for America.
Golf got a good push off of McSporran, to create enough space to grab the passing stone. McSporran tried to hobble over where Gulf was, but not in time to stop her.
So the match is tied. Scotland gets ready to take the stone.
Going into the second round here, the Americans have to feel good. With McSporran not at her best, the Americans can put this away for good.
But here comes Maggie McDougall, lead stoner for Scotland. She loads the stone into that giant sling.
That's the latest Beckenbauer 520. The Beckenbauer Company has been steadily releasing a new model of their crossbow ever since the year 1500.
Meanwhile, Delgado, the skewer, is in position, already jawing off to McDougall, and it looks like... What was that?
Something fell out of McDougall's ear.
The ref comes over to examine it, and as he holds it up, I think we can make out a device of some kind.
I think that's an earplug. An earplug to block out the skewer's insults. Of course that's illegal in this game.
McDougall is arguing with the ref, but the ref waves her off and takes the object to the side judge, who has to be woken up. And yes, the side judge nods before he lies back down. So it is confirmed. That is an earplug. Wow, somehow McDougall got away with wearing an earplug, and thus Delgado's barbs fell on plugged ears.
Scotland, of course, will challenge this ruling, and if they do that, it means there will be a face-off.
And those bagpipes mean that Scotland has indeed issued a challenge. Well, I'm afraid to ask, but Captain, what's the mood like down there?
Oh, it's magic. Rod Stewart is not really Rod Stewart, but just some guy with the same hair. Anyway, he still brought us all around. Wake up, Maggie, I've got something to say to you.
I don't know why even... Sometimes I just... Well, anyway, the face-off will commence here shortly.
It's just a good old-fashioned staring contest, like the one I had with my third-grade teacher, Mrs. Elmhurst. Whoever blinks first loses the game. And thanks to laser face scanning technology, the slightest twitch of facial muscles, and as far as muscles go, facial muscles are the twitchiest, and that will trigger an alarm as well as smoke that blows up the players' kilts.
Of course, both sides have chosen a McGowan girl to participate in the face-off. It will be Anne against her cousin Barbara. The McGowans, a proud Scottish family torn by one member's decision long ago to move to America and start a mattress business. The Scottish side has never forgiven the Americans and have been secretly envious of their success.
In fact, McGowan mattresses are still banned in Scotland.
Except in some cheap motels. Now it comes down to this.
The McGowan girls are exactly the same height, so it's easy to lock eyes. But there is the kicker. You're allowed to surround yourself with any kind of distraction you want. When the stakes are this high and the match is on the line, teams will spare no expense.
Some say more prep goes into a speed curling staring contest than a Super Bowl halftime show.
I think I see a lion.
And keep him away from the mutton vendor. And so the two McGowan girls face off, the fate of the match hanging between their facial muscles. The ref holds his hand in the space between their nose and then removes it, signaling the start. Both girls locked in a stone-cold stare.
They only have 3 minutes, but if you've ever been in a high-stakes staring contest, you know that feels like an eternity.
Meanwhile, the distractions are commencing.
There's an alpaca, and I think, yes, I count 3 people wearing panda costumes on a trapeze.
And yet the staring does not break. They are like two statues doomed to forever face each other in some Boschian garden of madness.
Well, this really is a fitting end to the whole McGowan saga. The great-great-granddaughters of a Scottish mattress salesman will decide once and for all who gets bragging rights at the next family reunion.
I doubt they'll have one soon, but we are coming up on the 10-second mark, and still not a twitch or a blink. Amazing. Here's the countdown. The crowd getting into it now. 5, 4. What on earth?
Jiminy McCrickets. I don't think that's from Earth.
Whatever it is, it caused both women to break concentration simultaneously, and both of their kilts are filled with
It's some
smoke.
kind of aircraft that's landed on the
The
field.
door to the craft is opening, and something or someone is coming, and it looks like a man in a bathrobe with long white hair and a well-trimmed goatee. Well, I know who that is.
Well, everyone here should know who that is. It's a living legend and a national treasure, comedian Billy Connolly.
No one, including us, received word of his arrival.
Which means it was sorely needed. The Big Inn, as he's called here, only comes in times of great duress. And it seems the tension here was so great that it prompted his appearance.
And now, with a wave of his hand, he has returned peace to the land. And the two McGowan girls are now hugging each other and gently weeping.
Gently?
I can't really tell from here, but I'm guessing gently.
So that means the match is a draw?
No, actually it means that Scotland wins. Scotland always wins as per speed curling rules. But everyone's a winner here today, because an appearance by Billy Connolly means a 3-hour stand-up comedy show is about to begin, followed by 4 hours of Highland dancing. And that's where we take our leave, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. Captain, are you still there?
But me and my true love will never meet again on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond.
And so we bid you farewell. Remember to keep it tuned into the Blimp for exciting sports news from all around the world. I'm Will Regan. For myself and Eric Randman, we wish you more than a sporting chance here on the Sportsblimp All Sports Radio Network.
Sportsblimp is produced and distributed with a grant from the Goodyear Dirigible Company in Bucyrus, Ohio. Many of America's other favorite sports are played in the shadow of the Sportsblimp.